we finally got the pictures hung up on the wall, and we're gonna take a look at some MySlabs sales. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. So as I said earlier, we got the pictures hung up on the wall and I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know how it looks. It looks a little bit like one of the pictures kind of blends into the wall, the Jackie Robinson. I think it needs a border. And the other picture is a Corey Seager. If you didn't catch it in one of my other videos, it's a Corey Seager World Series picture and it's an autograph picture. So we're gonna add a little bit more to kind of fill that out. No, it looks a little bit bland still, but hey, I'm glad we got it started. It's a start, and I'm pretty excited about that. So I wanted to get into some MySlabs sales. Haven't done a MySlabs sales video in a while, and there's been a little bit of activity. So it's very encouraging to see. For a while, it seemed like it was a little bit dead. I did add some new cards. A lot of low dollar cards are selling. So that's kind of my go-to when I have a slab that's maybe in the $20 to $50 range. It's nice to just put it on MySlabs, and it seems to sell pretty quickly if you price it right. And you'll see the sales that I'm about to show you. But before I get into that, I also wanted to mention that I did sell a Zach LaVine courtside HGA 9.5. So it's 2014 Select courtside. That's his rookie card. Sold it on eBay yesterday for $275. I was pretty encouraged by that sale because a PSA 10 just sold 2 days earlier for $310. And this is the second time that I've seen an HGA 9.5 sell for somewhere close, somewhere in the range of a PSA 10. So it is encouraging to see that, as PSA and generally cards overall are dropping in value. It's good to see that HGA is still holding their value. It's not as if a PSA 10 goes down in value, the HGA goes down by the same percentage. It seems like the HGAs are holding their value somewhat. So that was a very encouraging sign. I know that there's been some more negative news by Car Porn talking about HGA grading. I believe it was a Michael Jordan fake auto and a Penny Hardaway. I think the Penny Hardaway was trimmed. So anyway, a couple more stories about cards that were graded that probably shouldn't have been graded, and I get that. And one of the things that I want to say about that is it seems like people are pretty quick to jump on any mistakes that HGA is making at this point. And I don't know if that's deservedly so, or are we jumping to conclusions? I think really ultimately what we want to get at is their staff and is their company going to address these issues, and can we trust the grades that are coming out of the company going forward? And I still feel that we can. I still do. I guess for me, it's a matter of, like, if I send a card in for grading and it seems like there's this worry that they're going to grade fake autos, well, maybe I might not send my autos to HGA. And I'll tell you in a general sense, I didn't realize that HGA, SGC, and I believe CSG, they don't authenticate the autos. And I feel like that might be something that might be more important down the road. So it's something that I'm looking at anyway in terms of an auto, grading a card that has an autograph as well. So that's a different story. But overall, I'm still pleased with the grades that I'm getting. Some people might say that, oh, this card was overgraded, or it looks like HGA missed a surface issue because they gave it a high surface score. And to that, I would say, I think you could find that anywhere. You can definitely find it in PSA slabs, that's for sure. So there's a lot of banter going back and forth about, well, HGA is doing this and HGA didn't catch that. And then some people might say, well, look, PSA didn't catch this and PSA graded this a 10, and it's clearly not a 10. It has a dinged corner. It has a, jagged edges and whatever else you might find. So there's going to be mistakes along the way, and we have the mistake police that are catching every little thing. And it's not bad though, because it does keep the grading companies on their toes. And just in general, what I want to say about grading companies in general is it's my belief that they are doing a good job. Even PSA, even BGS. I shouldn't say even. They are doing a good job. All of them. They've opened business so that they can grade cards, so that they can provide value to us as collectors or us as investors. They're giving their best opinion on what the grade that they think the card should be or what it is. And I believe that they're doing the job to the best of their ability. And obviously, grading cards that have come and gone in the past probably just didn't do as well for whatever reason, and they're no longer around. But the ones that are still around and still grading, I heard one YouTube content creator say that they all suck, but he's just going to go with PSA because that has the highest resale value. I would argue that they're actually all good. That SGC, I trust their grades. I like their grades, and that's why I'm buying low dollar SGC slabs right now. I'm sure CSG is good as well, and I just don't really play in that market because it doesn't seem like there's a strong resale market, and I really don't like their slabs. And HGA just happened to be the company that I decided to grade with because I liked their slabs. I liked the grades that I got back when I sent cards in. I felt that they were fair grades, and that's just how it happened. You know, I mean, it's just it could have been SGC, but again, I like the HGA slabs better. I liked the company that, you know, once I started grading with them, I liked how they operated, so I just kind of went with it. So that's that about my rant about HGA and the, you know, the grand scheme of grading cards. So let's go ahead and get into the MySlabs sales. So the first card that I have here is a Jamal Murray Optic PSA 9. Not a very expensive card. Sold it for $35. But purchase price was, I believe it says $55. I don't have the screen in front of me. So you can see here that it was a loss. And one of the reasons that I sold it, me and my brother were trying to raise some money to cover a purchase that we made. We actually bought a Steph Curry Bowman Blue, serial number to 1948. And that was in a BGS 7.5. So I'll get into that in another video, but that's essentially why we sold these cards. We were trying to raise money to pay for this Steph Curry that we just bought. So it's kind of like paying ourselves back if you want to think about it that way. So in any case, that's why we sold some of these cards, wanted to get some cash, and this Jamal Murray happened to sell. Lowered the price a little bit to see if it would move, and it did at $35. Also sold this Nolan Arenado BGS 9. Now, I think this card was bought back at the peak before the start of the baseball season. Nolan Arenado signed the contract with the Cardinals, so there was a little bit of hype for him, and just decided to buy this card at that time. Didn't really pan out, as far as typically when you buy cards before the season, there's a lot of hype, and if they don't really perform as advertised, their cards tend to go down in value. So we were just happy to we actually got $30. So had to sell it for $30, again, to get some cash. That's what we did. Moving on to the next card here. Walker Buehler. Now this one I actually sold. I sold this one for $30, but I sold this on MySlabs during the season for $90 when for a minute he was hot. It looked like he might be in the running to win the Cy Young. That didn't pan out, and so now I'm selling this one for $30, unfortunately, and it was a $25 loss. So bummer there. Bought this Lonzo Ball Emergent at a card show for basically $20, and after I sold it for $20 on MySlabs, but after fees and shipping, I ended up losing $5.50. So I just wanted to point that out to you, that if you're thinking about getting your money back, you have to factor in the fees and the shipping as well, in order to cover the cost. And in this case, I tried to. Sure, I would have loved to have sold it at least for $25.50 to break even, but unfortunately, it didn't sell at that price, so I lowered it down enough so it would move. This was the big one. The next one was this Andre Drummond. Now, for those of you who are on the StarStock platform, and maybe you signed up for the StarStock text messaging where they text you about card deals, this is something that I fell for a couple of times, and unfortunately, this was the worst one. So at the time, they sent me a text and they said, Andre Drummond PSA 10 is on StarStock right now for $375. The last eBay comp was $500. I didn't really consider the fact that Andre Drummond is a big man. The hobby doesn't really like big men. I liked the fact that he had gone to the Lakers, and I believed that the Lakers were going to make a playoff run at the time. With that said, it was just too high of a price to pay for Andre Drummond. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, and I realize now that that was just, I way overpaid. Now, the other mistake I made was, as the card was going down in value, I had a chance to move it maybe between $100 and $150, but I fell into the trap of, well, maybe it'll come back in value. Maybe it'll get to 200 or 250, and I won't have to take such a big loss. And in that time, the card just plummeted. And it got to the point where I just listed it on MySlabs for 50 bucks. I got a lot of lowball offers. I finally countered with 48 and somebody took it. And honestly, I was happy to get the cash and get out of it. This one really hurt my brother. He was like, oh, that was a painful sale. But sometimes you got to make those painful sales if you don't believe that there's any upside to the card. And the way Andre Drummond is playing this season, I kind of feel like that might be the highest value that card gets for a while, unless something odd happens, like he has a second coming and, you know, really resurrects his career somehow on a championship team. Who knows, right? Anything can happen. But at this point, I was happy to get the $48. So the moral of that story is don't be so quick to fall for the the Star Stock techs, because they are enticing. They will compare it to a current eBay comp, and a $100 price difference. I kind of felt like I couldn't pass that up. It was worth the gamble, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. Also sold this Pete Alonso Topps Chrome PSA 10. This was a very high pop card, very commonly sold card prior to the baseball season. Paid $68. Wow. Okay. Anyway, ended up selling it for $35, which was a $39 loss. So that one hurt too. I'm obviously not like the Andre Drummond, but again, we have a couple more of those Pete Alonsos. I'm not really a big Pete Alonso believer. He has power, but other than that, I mean, he's very streaky, and it's usually cold streaks. So I'm happy to move that for any amount of money at this point. Again, this is all going toward that Steph, which we'll get into in another video, and I believe this was a good play. I was able to make some profit at least. Sold this Tony Gonzalez that I had in a box. Luckily, I had it in a sleeve and in one of the old card savers, like seriously from back like 20 years ago. And it gemmed. It got a PSA 10. I sent it in for grading. It was $65 to grade the card, and was able to sell it for $125. And after all the fees and everything, it came out to about $46 profit. Also made a profit on this Kobe Bryant. This was one of my favorite cards. Again, this was sitting in my binder, and it gemmed as well. Got a PSA 10, and I had a lot of back and forth offers on MySlab, but I kind of held firm to my price at $275, and somebody finally bought it. I was able to make a $189 sale. So that sale did take a lot of weight off that Andre Drummond loss. So kind of feel good about that, but I hated to kind of lose that Kobe Bryant, because it was my card from over 20 years ago. But I thought it was a good time to sell it. I thought it was a good price. Sold this Ben Simmons Optic PSA 10 for a loss, a $41.50 loss. Not really messing with Ben Simmons right now. I have a lot of Ben Simmons cards. I'm not really looking to move a lot of them, because I'm assuming he will come back. He's not injured. So we'll see how that plays out. But I was happy to kind of get rid of this, again, to raise some cash for the Steph Curry. Finally got this DeJounte Murray, and I wanted to hold on to this a little bit longer. I bought it at a card show, but again, and as part of trying to raise money, if I could just get my money back, which I basically did, it's a $2.70 loss. I just needed the cash again to go toward the Steph Curry, so that was the reason for this sale. And that's really, really I just tried to price cards and to see if they would move. These were the 10 that actually sold, so I wanted to do a quick video on this. And the total loss on this was $267.73. So not the best MySlab performance here for these 10 cards, but I think you'll probably find, I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat, where a lot of cards that they purchased at the beginning of the year are obviously down in value. And now if they're going to try to move them, they're probably moving them at losses. And I think it's important to take some losses, so that if you need the cash, which I believe a lot of people probably want to just keep their card cash separate from putting new money into the hobby. But if for whatever reason you need to raise some cash to get into some better cards, I think it's good to kind of like trim the fat, however you want to think about it. I'm kind of glad that Andre Drummond is not in my collection anymore, so I don't have to look at it and kind of like see that mistake over and over. So I don't know, there's something a little bit psychological about it, but in any case, I feel good about the sales. It sucks that the card values were down and I had to take a loss on a lot of them, but I feel good about the sales, and then I feel good about what we did with the money after the fact. And again, we'll get into the next Steph Curry video. So thanks for watching again. I wanted to do this quick MySlabs video. I appreciate all the feedback, all the comments. I had one comment where they suggested that I kind of start my own brand here, get my local card collector t-shirt, or maybe like a little mat where I do my, opening packs or looking at cards or whatever, maybe even those little stands. So I don't know, these are all some great ideas, and I definitely look forward to exploring them as I continue to put out more content and get more feedback. So again, thanks for subscribing. Hit the like button if you like the video, and I will see you on the next one.